We all know that Mitzvah of Milah consists of two parts. There's the Milah part, Milah, and then Periah. We know Kol Amol v'Lech Lecha Kilu Le'Mol. There's Milah and Periah. What's Milah? What's Periah? We all watch it in shul. We watch the bris, but we don't know what we're seeing. What's the Milah? What's the Periah? What's the Ora Orla, which is removed by Milah? And what's the Ora Periah, which is exposed during Periah? And what are the two methods of doing the Milah and Periah? One method is known as the old traditional method of Milah v'achar kach Periah, or bezeh achazeh, first doing the Milah completely and then afterwards going back and doing a Periah. And then there's another method which is done a lot in America, which is the Milah u'Periah bevasachas, which is doing a Milah and the Periah all at once. What's Milah? What's Periah? First that. So I'm going to try with the help of glove fingers. I'm going to try to describe it. Here we have. This is the koiva, the head, and at the bottom of the head is the part of the head is the atara, and this and here's the rest that goes back to the body. The job of a moil is to have this exposed. This part exposed, that is nisgala atara, to expose this part. But a baby is not born that way. How is the baby born? When a baby is born, it doesn't look like this. This skin, it's really, this is supposed to be like skin. This skin, starting from the body, continues and continues. It doesn't stop here. Meaning it's attached here, but it doesn't stop here. It actually continues over the koiva and the atara. It continues over this part. This part in English is called the glands. It continues over the glands. Right, so let's do it with this glove finger. Let's do that. So here we have it. Yeah, it's going from the body. It's continuous, continuous, continuous. It goes over, and then it folds in on itself, like this glove finger does. It folds in on itself and goes back. The only thing that's exposed is the tip, and that's the piasheten. That's where the baby goes to the bathroom. So you have this, the skin continues and continues and continues till here. Then it folds in on itself all the way around. It folds in on itself. So you have this extra piece, and it's attached over here, down here. So again, when a baby is born, the skin continues from here all the way along here. It folds back in on itself. When it gets to the top, it folds back in on itself, and it travels like a lining inside this skin, and it attaches itself under the atara. This extra loop, this extra skin, meaning the outer skin and the inner skin, is extra. If you want to keep this exposed, you have to get rid of that extra loop. And that's the job of the mud. To get rid of this extra loop that's continuing over up till here and folding back in. Now, this skin, even though it's one long piece of skin that continues and then loops back in and follows till the bottom, it's one continuous piece of skin, but it changes names when it gets to the top. The outer part is called the Ora Orla, and the inner part, when it gets to the top and it folds back in on itself, that's called the Periah. The inner part, when it's folding in on itself, that's already called Periah. Now, before we discuss the two methods, and before we discuss what a moil does and how he removes this loop, this extra piece of skin, this extra extension that's going over the koiva and going back in until it gets to the bottom, let's discuss a little bit. We have to point out that there's a difference not only in its name, there's a difference in the consistency of the orla, which is the outer part of the skin, and then the same skin, once it folds in on itself, it gets a different name. It's called the Periah. It's still they're attached, but the inner part is called the Periah, and that inner part has a different consistency. In English also, the outer skin is called the outer foreskin, and the inner part, the inner loop, the inner lining, when this skin goes in on itself, that skin is known as the inner foreskin. The consistency, the outer skin is easily stretched. It could pull and it expands pretty easily. But the inner part is more like a tight membrane, and the inner part doesn't stretch easily. It can't expand very well. It's very, very tight. So the outer part is a thick skin that can pull, and the inner part is a thinner membrane that doesn't give that well. When the moil wants to remove this whole loop, he wants to remove the outer skin and the inner skin. He wants to cover and uncover the atara. He wants to make it an iskala atara. He wants to open this area. So how does he do it? Instead of taking a knife and cutting around and around and around, what does he do? He would like to pull the whole thing on top. Pull it all over the glands, over the koiva, the whole thing. He would like to stretch over the top. Once he has it on the top, he will cut it off, and he only has skin on top. So he would like to pull the whole thing over the top, and then cut it right there, which is essentially what he does. He pulls the skin all the way up over the top, and then he puts and nowadays they use a guard. They're using it for many years. They use a guard just to make sure that it doesn't cut the glands, doesn't cut the koiva, doesn't cut anything. He's just going to cut where he wants to cut the skin. He puts a guard down, puts a guard on it, and he uses a knife, which generally they use a knife that has two sides, that's sharp on both sides, because of cherev PPS biyad. But there's a problem. The problem is that when he pulls up the skin on top, he would like all the skin to come, because he has to expose the whole top. So he would like all the skin to come up to the top. Not just the outer skin, but he would like all the skin to come to the top, and then cut it off, and then the stretch it all the way on top, and then whatever wasn't cut off will recede, and it'll look like this. That's what he would like. But it doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen? It doesn't happen because, as we discussed, the outer skin has no problem coming and stretching and being pulled over the top. But the inner skin is much, much more stubborn. The inner skin is much tighter, and it doesn't come to the top easy. So when he pulls it up, only the outer skin gets cut off, and that comes up, and it loops up, and he can take off as much as he wants from the top of the outer skin. But the inner skin stayed there, and it never came on top. Since the inner skin never came on top, it never got cut off. So what does it end up looking like? It ends up looking something like this. He pulled up the outer skin over the top and he cut it. And then he lets the outer skin recede down. So the outer skin is here. It was cut here. Right? It had stretched all the way on top. And he cut it. And now it's receded quickly all the way down here. Here is exposed flesh. There's no skin. But the inner skin, the Periah, was never stretched on top in the first place. So it's still there, it's still intact. It's only one layer, but it's still intact, it's still over there. Which is fine. What does he want to do? The Moel wants to spread it over like a skirt. He wants to spread it down. The Periah he would like to put down like this. He would like to put the Periah down and have it nice. He would like to have the Orla, the Periah spread down here, and this exposed. And then eventually, these two will fuse together very quickly and heal. That's how he would like to do it. It's not so easy because since the Periah is a tight skin, it's a skin that has to that's very tight. So to pull it down, he has to first rip. He takes his nail, his sharp nail. He takes a sharp nail and he rips it over here. He makes a rip, and once he could rip it, then he could fold it nicely down, and he has the outer skin. The inner skin comes down over here. That now came down nicely, folds down nicely. And it fuses together, and he bandages it over here. That's how the Milah is done traditionally. Rav Moshe Bunim Prutinsky wrote a sefer. He was a veteran Moel in America. He wrote a sefer Abris, and he introduced a method that instead of doing the Milah and then afterwards the Periah, instead of first removing the outer skin and then going back and ripping and pushing down the Periah, he came up with a method that we would be able to deal with both the Orla and the Periah all at once. What's that method? He said that when the baby's skin is up there, it's up here, right? This is how a baby is born with the skin continuing up till here, right? He said like this: if I could hold these two together very tightly, the inner skin and the outer skin, and then pull them both up, then pull it up, then they're both going to come get stretched. Then it won't just be the outer skin being stretched on top. Then it'll be the inner skin also will be stretched on top. So, and if they'll both be stretched on top, I could cut them both off and easily expose it. I'll put something in that holds these two skins together. Then I'll pull it over the top. And once I'm pulling them both over the top, then I cut them. Now I got rid of this whole loop, both the inner and the outer, both the outer skin, the outer foreskin, the Orla, and the inner skin, the Periah, I got them both off at once. And I have this thing exposed right away. So those Moelim, what they use is a looks like a scissor. It's called a hemostat. It's not sharp in any way. It's just like a clamp. It's used in surgery to hold things closed, like a artery or something. The Moel sticks in. He's not sticking. He's just holding together those two skins. He just sticks in over here on top of the kaiva. He sticks it in over here and he clamps it shut. Then he goes and he pulls, and when he's pulling now, he's pulling both skins. And when he's pulling both skins, then he could Then he cuts them off. And essentially what happens is the outer skin recedes, and there's nothing else there. So what happens? It looks something like this. The outer skin recedes down, and the Ora Periah is essentially gone. There's nothing there. So there's no Ora Periah, totally, because that came to the top, it was stretched to the top and cut off. The outer skin recedes down. Now you have just that open flesh, and the baby heals quickly. The skin fills itself in and comes till the top. In a vasachas, you'll have skin and a little open the open flesh, and this skin will extend itself up till the top, and it will fuse itself over here. Those are the two methods of vasachas and bezachazeh. So the controversy is a big controversy. Each one says that the other one is more painful for the baby. Question is, if vasachas, if doing it simultaneously is such a big milah, if doing it together, cutting them both off together, if it's such a big milah, how come it was done? How come no one did it until now? What's the lashon of Periah? If Periah means, there's a lot of Torah on both sides. Ayin b'sefer Abris, there's a lot of Torah on this thing. Personally, I didn't do the second the second method, the bevasachas, and this is why. In the first method, bezeh, what happens? The Ora Periah is essentially intact. The skin that was on top folds down, and it is essentially intact, and it fuses with the old skin. But in the b'vas achas, there is no Ora Periah left. That gets cut off. That gets cut off right away. It gets pulled to the top, and it gets chopped off. What do we have? We have this skin, the skin of the body skin, the regular skin, that continues, and it grows up till the top. Now, the Torah definitely says that we should remove the Ora Orla, and by the Torah by removing the Ora Orla, we become more complete, and that's for sure. That taking off the Ora Orla, that's fine. But what's with the Ora Periah? If the Torah never said to take off the Ora Periah, even if it's mutter, and even if the child is totally a mohel, and obviously no one's going to say he's an oral if the Ora Periah was removed, but maybe the Ora Periah has some sort of a function. Ora Orla we know has no function. How do we know? Because the Torah says to remove it. The Torah says you got to remove the Ora Orla. But the Ora Periah, for many, many years, it was never removed. It was just folded down like this. And it was left here. So now when somebody's going to go and remove the Ora Periah, even if it's mutter, but what you're doing is you're taking away the Ora Periah that might have some sort of a function. How do we know that it doesn't have some sort of a function? Maybe it has some sort of a function, and if it has a function, why should we remove it? Ora Orla we know for sure. Ora Orla we could remove, and that's fine. The Eibishter created the world, and he said we should remove the Ora Orla. We remove the Ora Orla. But the Ora Periah, this is a new method, a method of that definitely make the child a mohel. But maybe by taking off this Ora Periah, I'm taking away a skin that maybe has some sort of a function. Maybe it has a function, then I'm removing that and I'm taking away of a functioning skin that will not come back. Because when it grows back, it's this skin that grows back and it continues up till here. But the Ora Periah is gone. And that never comes back. So maybe we're supposed to, maybe it'll be better to do just to do the old method of taking off Ora Orla and then folding down the Ora Periah, not chopping off the Ora Periah, and this way the baby still has this skin of Ora Periah, which might have a function. And this might also explain, if this concern is a concern, this might explain why for many generations, for all the generations until Ramosha Bunim Petinsky came around, maybe this is why people didn't do the Bvasachas. Maybe they could have gotten a hold of a hemostat if they needed something like that, something to hold the two skins together. The reason why they didn't is because by holding them together and taking off and removing the Ora Periah, I'm taking off a skin that has some sort of a function, and why should we do that? So therefore, they did the old method of taking off just taking off the outer skin without a hemostat, taking off the outer skin, then folding down the inner skin and leaving it with here's the koiva with the atara, here's the Ora Periah that gets folded down nicely, and it fuses itself with this Ora Orla, and the baby still has basically it had a little rip here, but basically intact Ora Periah, and it fuses itself with the skin, and that would be maybe beneficial, and maybe that's why they didn't do it.